So one of the challenges, and this is much broader than our agenda in our particular group, is, I think, developing a proper dialogue so that I understand the legal perspective and the legal perspective understands what I do know and what I don't know. This is in such an important part of the public arena. We suddenly, I think, as neuroscientists, find ourselves with an obligation to address its social implications, whether or not we're quite prepared to provide the kind of answers that the general public might anticipate. But in being asked to do that kind of an assessment, it's also, I think, very important for us as neuroscientists to understand the context in which we're responding to these challenges. And what I have noticed in my participation in the meetings that we have held so far is that there is much to be learned about the dialogue between the neuroscience community, the behavioral community, and the legal community. In our particular network, we are tackling elements of that which relate to human behavior generally conceived of as in the normal realm. And we deal with it under an umbrella called decision-making. How does one go about making a decision? And well, criminals can make bad decisions in terms of their criminal behavior and have that associated with obvious damage to their brain or injuries or a known diagnosis. Much criminal behavior occurs in so-called normal people. Why does one person make a decision to commit a crime and another not? Perfectly, seemingly upstanding people. Well, this raises serious questions about how decisions are made by these people. It raises major questions about individual differences. Now, in the world, again, in which I've lived for so many years now, we tended to take a room full of people like this, put you in a scanner, and average your brain. So we get a general picture of how you work. But as life has gotten more sophisticated in terms of what we can do, we now need to ask some serious questions about you as individuals. And it seems to me that is highly relevant to this agenda. So as we look at normal decision-making, so-called normal decision-making, maybe an important element in this will be individual differences. Now, individual differences can occur in adults, but they can also occur as a result of development. It's been arbitrarily said that when you're under the age of 18, your behavior is different than over the age of 18. But we now know that your brain continues to develop from the time you enter this world way up into your 20s. Does it make a difference? Is there an arbitrary line? Should there be an assessment of individuals in terms of where on that trajectory they fit in making the decision about what is normal behavior for that person? But the answers to questions like this, I think, in this context, have major social implications. And I think it's important for those of us who are now in this endeavor to realize not only the scientific importance of things like this, but its social implications, because I don't think we can avoid it. There is an issue not only about why somebody committed some act which would be socially inappropriate, but also how we go about making such judgments about such people. And whether you're a judge or a jury or an attorney involved in such cases, we make judgments. And we all have this sense that we have a rational self inside of us and that we can intuit why we do things. But we do know that most of what our brains are doing most of the time is not accessible to our conscious awareness. And therefore, as neuroscientists in this context, we need to understand how biases arise and how decisions are made and governed by things that we cannot always consciously intuit, and understand how this sort of thing gets applied in a context like this.